Hello and welcome to Roll for Review, where we are looking at the very best in tabletop role-playing crowdfunding. This week, we're looking at Kickstarter campaigns that launched in the second half of January. I'm Joe, the creator of The Wanderer's Guide, and I help manufacture, produce, and fulfill board games and tabletop Kickstarter projects for a living.
Hello, humanoids. I'm Halfling Hannah from Halfling Hobbies, and I'm a forever DM and a DM resource creator over on YouTube, Patreon, and on my website, halflinghobbies.com.
Hello everyone, I'm Alex, a designer and marketer for The Wanderer's Guide, and an everyday RPG player and gamer.
And this is Roll for Review, where the three of us like to create Kickstarters for RPGs like an ancient dragon collects the dead bodies of adventurers. And then we show them off to you. So here's what's going to happen. Each of us have chosen our three favorite Kickstarter campaigns during this period of time. And we're going to explain what these RPGs are like. And we're going to, in the end, give them a roll for review. From a nat 1 all the way up to a natural 20, and any modifiers that we think make these campaigns special or that kind of bring them down a little bit in our minds. And of course, you'll want to stick around to the very end where we show off our fun finds. These are just anything RPG related that we have found on the interwebs during our social media searching.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you who end up loving what you hear, you can find us here every other Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Central. These videos will also start to be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and they will be up on our Twitch for about 2 weeks. And then Twitch will, of course, take them down because that is how Twitch works. So definitely check us out on those other days, and let's jump right into it.
I think, Joe, you're up first.
Yes, and we have some really good projects. Really excited about this, guys. But I'm going to talk about the very first project here that I have come across. This is called the Book of Bounty and Treasure Hunts for D&D 5e. So this is a 5th edition supplement that is being made that is just a collection of adventures that have to do with bounty hunting or treasure hunting. They are already, this is the second project by a creator named Jason DM. They have over 100 backers and have just passed $3,500. So they're doing very well. They're fully funded. So if you want to get in on this one, it's looking really, really good. But I am super excited to talk about this one, and I want to tell you why. This has so many really cool aspects to it, and the part that I think is the coolest is that it is just chocked full of maps. All right, so it's got 20 adventures, and you can see as you kind of look through the pictures on the Kickstarter campaign that they are giving you all of these like one-shot adventures to kind of like blow into your campaign and to kind of like use as a resource as a DM to just kind of get your campaign started, or if you had a hectic week, to have kind of a low prep guide to just like doing something if you need to DM that week and you haven't had time to get everything. You can just flip this book open, choose an adventure, and find some way to kind of shoehorn it into your campaign. But they give you the, they said that there are over 20 adventures in this book. It's all compatible with 5th edition, and 120 pages is the minimum. He said it's going to be a minimum of 120 pages. Everything will be in full color. It will be 20 one-shots. It has the story summaries, the NPCs, and the plot hooks all included in all of these different things. But the biggest thing that I'm most excited about this, and the reason that I'm backing it, is the maps. I feel
we were literally just talking about how you are the map king. You
loves maps.
love
Joe
maps
loves maps.
so
Joe
much.
loves maps. Joe loves maps.
Joe loves maps.
It is like I've got serious Dora the Explorer vibes here, because like I am just obsessed with the maps. I really am. I think that they are one of the best resources that you can have as a DM, is to be given maps that really like bring your campaign to life, let you do combat in a really interesting way, let you think about through what you're going to look at, because map creation is one of the most difficult thing for, I think, a dungeon master when it comes to some people it comes more naturally than others, but it's the hardest thing to prep. It's the hardest thing to prep as a DM, right? Like to draw out your map. I usually will just like I do a lot of my DM prep 30 minutes before my campaign starts, and I already have the idea of what I want to do, but that's when I go through and just start like Google image searching, right? And I'm like, Google image search D&D sewers, right? That is like what I'll do, and I'll just find a map and I'll just click it onto my desktop and then upload 20. But I would love to have these 20 adventures that have maps that tie them together, NPCs, plot hooks, so much stuff. He said over 40 full color maps. Now, I want to talk a little bit about what I think is the best value that you're going to get here, okay? Now, this is going to, he has said very specifically, this is a very small print run. It's not, you know, he's in the UK, he's doing it in the UK. Shipping it outside of the UK is extremely expensive. So if you want my personal advice on what the best thing that you can do to back this campaign is for $28, okay? So each book, there's 2 books. There is the Bounty Hunter book and there's the Treasure Hunting book, okay? If you want both of them, for $28, you can get the PDF, which is 120 pages, plus all 40 maps that you can just have as your single maps, print them out, upload them to Roll20, whatever you want to do. It's all going to be available to you. I think the PDF is the way to go. I just to have this delivered to me personally, and I'm a physical media guy. I will usually back at the physical level, but this was going to be like 50, 60 bucks, and I'm not going to, with shipping, and so I'm not going to say that it's not worth it. I'm just going to say I think $28 is a much easier, no shipping, it's just digital content sent to you really fast. And I think that this is a good project to back at the digital level, because really you're not using as a big resource compendium, you're using it as an inspiration guide to put stuff into your campaign and to have the map resources, which work a lot better when you're actually digitally playing the game anyway.
I was gonna say, and especially for you, because I know that you actually play online, don't you? You don't play
Yes,
with
we do.
like people in the room, so yeah. So that makes a lot more sense for you to have the digital maps that you can put in Roll20 as opposed to have them out on the table.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
the maps aren't even separate too. They're in the book. So it's not like if you had the book, you would be able to like lay the map out for people to play on. It would
Gotcha.
just be you would have an image of the map and you'd have to draw it onto something else or
I see,
print it
yeah.
out digitally anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're going to get this like thing of tiles to build the maps with. The maps are just in the book. So it's not necessarily like even if you were playing in person, I don't know that having the book would help you with the map situation any
Yeah,
better
that makes
than
sense.
having
Because you
the
want to
digital.
have a larger map that you can put on the table if you're
Yeah.
doing something like that. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. And so the
So-
treasure hunting one, is that like X marks the spot kind of like treasure
So-
maps, or?
So the treasure hunting one is like the one shot is based upon like here's an artifact you heard about and here's the story around it, right?
Gotcha.
Here's the secret item that the wizard wants, right? The
Mhm.
bounty adventures are more based upon like there's an orc that's been really like terrorizing the merchant caravans. Go find his secret lair
Okay.
and destroy him. I don't know how in depth. Those
That
are
makes
pretty
sense.
generic.
Sure.
But each one of these books has 20 adventures. So 20 bounty adventures, 20 treasure hunt adventures. I really like the cover art. The maps look really good, and
Yeah.
he's done a lot of like trap in this room, like giving you a lot of DM inspiration for what you should do with the maps. So I like this. This is something that I would use as the DM. So I'm backing at the digital level for this because I think it would be just a good resource to put in my little folder on my desktop of D&D stuff and just kind of open when I'm like, oh, I kind of feel like this would be a good week to put a one shot in there, kind of go on a side quest stuff. So
Nice.
we give it a review
Mhm.
and we give
Let's
it a roll.
hear it.
The roll for this one is a 15, which is good. Good, strong roll. No one's
Yeah.
mad at rolling a 15 in D&D.
Yep.
But I'm going to give it a +1 for maps. Just because
+1
Because
for
they're-
maps.
Kickstarter creators, you hear like you want bonuses from Joe, just put
Yeah.
a map in there. Any map,
just put a
a
map.
if you want to, but it's because the maps are so well done, so
Mhm.
beautifully illustrated, so vibrant, so nice to have, and he's really put a focus on like, hey guys, here's the adventures, and you can see one shot adventures all over the place, but very rarely do they come with a really nice map that goes along with them. So that's why they're
That's
getting the
cool.
+1, because they went the extra mile with including as many maps as they can, and I think that they look great. So that is my role. Bounty and Treasure Hunt Adventures by Jason DM. Go check it out.
That's cool. I like it.
Good start. Good start.
All right, I am up next, and guys, I want to ask before I start this one. Do you guys remember in high school English class, did you your senior year read a section of Beowulf?
Oh
the
yeah.
epic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, did you love it? Did you hate it?
Well,
I
there's
hated it.
I knew you would.
Well, here's the thing also, right around that time is when that Beowulf movie came out, and everyone who was like into Beowulf and everyone was just walking around going, I am Beowulf, because they were super into the movie, and I feel
yeah.
like the book ended up getting overshadowed by it. But to answer your question in a long form, yes.
Yes. Okay, so here's what I need you to do is I need you, because high school, I'm sorry, is a terrible time to read Beowulf, because high school's hormones, like distractions, it's a
Craziness.
bad time to read something like Beowulf. So I need you for this one to just take those thoughts and just like repress them a little bit here, okay?
Okay.
And I need you to see with fresh eyes Beowulf, like the epicness of Vikings. And we're talking mythic, exactly, stars in your eyes, mythic level warriors who fight frost giants and dragons and trolls in the depths of the ocean. Like that kind of epicness to this. Because my RPG that I'm reviewing here is called Heorot, which is a role playing in the world of Beowulf the Beast Slayer. And I am, for those of you that don't know, I am an English teacher for a hobby. That's what I do on the side as I teach English. And I have always loved Beowulf. just think it's such an incredibly epic story. And this one is based on that. It's in the time of the Vikings. It's Norse mythology. It's Celtic Icelandic sagas. That's what we're talking about here. And this is from the creator Jonathan Green, who is an incredible author. If you don't know who he is, he's written for shows like Doctor Who, Star Wars, The Clone Wars. Yeah, I know, your face. I did the same thing when I was like, wait, I recognize that. Yeah, this dude has written for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That alone should make you back this. He's written for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
And he has 15 successful Kickstarters already, a lot of them around this fantasy genre. He's already, I think he's almost to the goal. We're at 5,000 out of 7,600.
Wow.
Was his goal, and there's still 55 in this, so I'm fairly confident that this is for sure going to reach its goal here. But so the last episode, I freaked out, if you remember, over Lovecraft inspired monster manual, basically. So it only seemed right that I entertain you with my fangirling over Beowulf here, because this is more than just a setting. So if this was just a setting that you could plug into D&D, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. I've talked about that in a video before. Viking settings are fairly easy to do. They're fun. The D&D lore system lends itself really well to Norse mythology. But it's not that. It's actually like taking role playing and merging it with this Anglo-Saxon tradition of storytelling. So storytelling actually becomes a part of the game, and not just for the game master, but also for the players. Because, and he says this on his Kickstarter page, which is how I know that he is a nerd just like I am, is when Beowulf first comes in to the court of Hrothgar, he tells the whole court how epic of a hero he is, right? Of the amazing things that he's done. And then he goes off and he kills Grendel. So they take that idea and they say, okay, maybe it's the actual act of telling an epic tale that gives you your heroic powers. And so the players do a little storytelling competition after each one of their adventures when they come back to the mead hall.
Okay.
And the player that has the most epic and intriguing story gets the most amount of points, and you can trade those points in for heroic attributes, and that's kind of how you level up.
Wow.
I love that so much. I am stealing that idea and putting it into my campaign, because we have a player that loves to brag about what a great warrior he is, and I'm literally going to take that. And I'm going to put that.
It's not me, but I know exactly who he's talking about.
I was like, please let it be Alex.
It's not me.
Yeah, so you literally are telling stories, and as you kind of build up this heroic presence, that's how you get more and more heroic feats. And then you go out into this world and you adventure. And in this book, you're going to have all kinds of lore from like the Norse traditions. So you've got Midgard. You're going to have a whole spread of a map of Midgard. You've got Dark. I know, right? There's a map, Joe. There you go. Dark Age timeline, you're going to have Yggdrasil, the world tree, which is huge in Norse mythology.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have things like, what was another one? Oh, the Mead Hall, which is Heorot. If you don't know what that is, that's the Mead Hall, the epic Mead Hall. You're going to have 2 adventures that come with it. One is a Beast Slayer and one is the Troll Slayer, which that's going to be like the Grendel's mother quest. So you're going to automatically have that, as well as a bestiary. So, and then there's stretch goals on top of this. With 55 days left, I'm really hoping that we get there, because you're going to have soothsayers and sorceresses and spellcasters. You're going to have an adventure that's Dragon Slayer, and then you're going to have skin changers and shapeshifters that are going to become races that you can play to.
I feel like this is almost like when DMs become players. Because it's like you're telling this, you have to like be able to tell the stories, and this is like, all right, a bunch of DMs got together and decided this is how we're gonna play our game.
Yes, or English nerds, one of the two.
I like how rules light and story heavy this project is.
That's
like kind of what's interesting, because this is like, I play D&D, like I am like the mechanics, I am like all about the storytelling. Like I want to weave a compelling story. That's all I care about. And I want my characters to have memorable moments. That's all I want. Like I want them to talk about my gaggle of like Brooklyn accented children that help them out around the city. So this is something that I really like.
Can you do a Brooklyn accent?
Joe, why don't you give him a sample of Polly?
Please?
At Fun Finds. I'll do it at Fun Finds.
At Fun
Oh,
Finds,
come
okay.
on. Oh, you have to present your whole
And
you
now
have to present your
everybody-
whole Fun Find as a Brooklyn accent for me to be okay with you not doing it right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Real quick, Bridge Lord, thank you for the follow.
Yay! Thank you so much. So I'm gonna keep fangirling, so don't go away. Okay, so Alex, are you on the illustrators?
I am on the illustrators.
I
We
want
are
to show
ready
you
to
guys
see all
something
these
here.
amazing people.
Oh my gosh. So, guys, first of all, you have who was it? Who was the very first one on here? Russ Nicholson.
Yeah.
Yes, he is fighting fantasy. It's a small but very loyal fan base. Like, he's really awesome. But then the next one, they just throw out John Howe.
Casually,
like it's no big deal, and it's nothing. And if you didn't dig, you wouldn't find this because there's none of his illustrations in here. But if you don't know who John Howe is the freaking guy who did the maps for the Lord of the Rings remastered. He's the freaking guy who did the concept art for Lord of the Rings, the movies, and The Hobbit.
he's the
Like,
guy.
He's that guy.
Yeah.
And I saw this, I was like, that's not John. That looks like John Howe. Did they just rip off John Howe? Is he actually doing? No, he illustrated Beowulf. He did a collection where he illustrated Beowulf, and apparently he's just giving this random Kickstarter RPG his unused illustrations from that publication.
It is Jonathan Green. I mean, this is just a
Yeah,
powerhouse.
it's true.
A powerhouse of
It
creators.
is, but you wouldn't even know it based on
know.
this Kickstarter page. And that's my one thing that I'm like, what is happening
What are you
here?
doing?
You have
Come on.
these incredible illustrators. You have this incredible writer, and your page looks like an English textbook. Like, that's what it looks like.
It kind of does.
And I was like, if you didn't know, and if you weren't paying attention, you would miss this absolute gem of an RPG because it just doesn't grab your attention. But there's going to be some amazing illustrations in here. They've also got an Anglo-Saxon, North, and Celtic studies degree major who will be including some really neat embellishments in it that are like traditional and time-centered. And it's just going to be absolutely incredible.
Wow. This is incredible. This is awesome.
You're right. The Kickstarter does not do this justice. I feel like they've definitely pushed down all of these illustrators way too low, and they don't have.
John Howe should be at the top. Come on.
And the fact is, they're very word heavy, and with such a talented group of illustrators, you should lead with that. I mean, lead with.
But he's a
heavy
writer.
hitters.
John Green. He's a writer. So he's.
He's
a good writer, but if you actually read it, if you're an English nerd like me and you actually read it, it's incredible, and you go, oh my gosh, yes, 100%. But yeah, you need some more of those graphics in there. So I'm gonna go on to best value here, so I don't just keep talking about how amazing this is gonna be. So they are of course British, so this is in pounds. So I've done a rough not translation.
Well, they have
a
a little bit of an estimator on the bottom underneath the pledge.
Oh, I didn't see that. I Googled it. I went the extra mile for you, and you just stomped on it.
I'm sorry. Fun fact, for anyone who does not know, underneath, if it's in pounds, underneath pledge 10 pounds or more, it says in about $14.
There you go. So probably the best value is going to be the 10 pounds, which is about $14. In case you wanted to know. And this is the minimum to get a paperback copy of the RPG, and it's going to be signed by Jonathan Green, which is pretty cool. Yeah, for about $14. That's pretty cool. You can also add on some custom minis for you, Alex. They've got custom minis of Beowulf and Grendel's mother that you can get as well. So that one's going to be cool. But at 25 pounds, which is about $30, you can get a hardback copy of this, which is definitely what I will be doing. So, I just love the physical copies of things. So, that's what you get for that. So for my roll now, I have seen much more engaging Kickstarter pages. This is not very engaging. This is like looking at a plate of broccoli, but when you eat it, it's chocolate cake. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like that's what this is. So I'm gonna hit it a little bit on that, and I honestly think that's the only reason this hasn't absolutely exploded. With the powerhouse writing and illustration behind this, this is the only reason it hasn't exploded. But it is a unique and interesting system with the storytelling, and it is Jonathan Green. It gives me a lot of confidence that it's going to be well written. So I'm giving it a 15, like Joe did. It's a 15 -1 for the page because it's really bland, and I think people are going to miss it because it's so bland, and I don't want them to. But a +2 for John freaking Howe, and a +1 for storytelling because I love it. So it's a total of 17 on this. Definite good RPG to pick up.
Very nice.
Have a map. So
and it has a map of Midgard, and it's gonna be it's by a cartographer too. So
this sounds really awesome. Thanks for wow.
Yeah.
This is really cool. This is definitely one of those hidden gems that people might not know about. So this was a good call.
Yeah.
Good call. Yeah. Well, speaking of, you're talking about those minis there. I'm going to take us to somewhere. If you have, just a quick background. I have a 3D printer. I do 3D modeling, and I love the three-dimensional space. And anything when we are able to game in person, I am all about setting the scene and making that as cool as possible with three-dimensional stuff and really cool stuff. So I am going to lead us to something called the Town Builder subscription. And now the Town Builder is actually a Town Builder subscription system. The Town Builder building creator was actually a Kickstarter previously, and it essentially launched the entire system. And what it is essentially an online system where they will design parts of houses, parts of buildings, parts of environments, and you can create walls, you can create buildings that you can then 3D print for your environments. Now, this is so cool because not a lot of people have access to 3D modeling software, or for someone
or know how to use it.
That being said, also, there's always, if you want to download a free model on websites such as Thingiverse or any other site that offers free models, they're not exactly always what you want. Now, with this, they actually are including multiple parts of houses that allow you to piece together your own custom buildings. So what this Kickstarter is, and as I mentioned before, they already have the system, and that's where the previous Kickstarter came into play. But what this system is, and what this Kickstarter is the subscription service for the system. So they're essentially saying, we have this now, we want our followers who backed us to get involved. Here, our tier levels are actually subscription levels. So for example, a 3-month and a 6-month, and then they allow people to kind of get in a base level from the previous one to get you access to the previous stretch goals that they unlocked in their first Kickstarter, which is really cool. It is by a guy named Christopher Adam, and he has about 4 created Kickstarters. It has smashed the goal of $15,698, and it's already at $80,000. It's at $79,908.
Wow.
So it's insane. It's insane. So what's really cool, and I'm going to scroll through this page here, there are so many different levels of buildings and things you can get. There are small buildings, medium buildings, large buildings. They have different walls, floors, doors, windows, and columns. And the user interface allows you to essentially just build and piece all of these together and export them along with your subscription. Now, as you're going through this, the only hiccup on this page is that you don't really understand the way they've phrased it is a little difficult. So for example, for about €40, which is $49 a month, they say 3 monthly releases. Now, essentially what that means is you're getting 3 months of the subscription, which 3 monthly releases essentially says you're going to get whatever we release within 3 months. At least that's how I interpreted it. But if you go through the page, you can kind of see that what's included in certain releases. Each month you're sub to get, and then it describes what you're sub to get for each month. But in that point, just say 3 months. Just say you're subbed for 3
Yeah,
months.
it's confusing.
Or you're subbed for 6
I immediately
months.
thought, oh, I can only export 3 buildings every month?
It's
Like, I thought that it
way
was a
up for
limit on how
interpretation.
much I could, yeah.
It's
yeah.
way up for interpretation, and that's definitely confusing. So if I'm looking at this, it is $73 for the 6 month and $49 for the 3 month. In my opinion, I'm going to go for the 3 month because you're getting so many to start you off that you are then getting access to the 3D files, and then you can just have them and just print to your heart's content. If you have a 3D printer for 3 months, at that point, you're able to make so many buildings.
Yeah.
If they're releasing anything
How many buildings do you need, you know?
Exactly. So if I'm looking at this $50 for the 3 month, you'll get an activation code, which will begin a free 3-month subscription, 3-month model releases, and you can actually vote for certain themes, which is really cool. So I think depending on how the subscription service goes and the different things that they're going to introduce in terms of the themes for the buildings, then I think you allow yourself the time to say, I want to keep going in this service. And I think this is really, really cool. As someone who loves building models and putting together these kinds of things, I would love to kind of just work with the community to make really detailed buildings. They have certain themes per month, like the June theme is Draconic, so they have these really cool Draconic buildings. July theme is Aztec. August theme is like, there's a whole poll open for those, and the poll is open for Tribal, Viking, or Infernal. So they're really, really cool. But
Ooh, Viking, and then we could print a bunch of stuff for Beowulf.
Yes. So it's very cool. So I think also, though, it's very specific. It's a very specific thing that you have to have a 3D printer or you have to have access to understanding what you're making here. So this is what I'm gonna. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
You've been talking for 5 minutes. I have no idea what this is yet. I'm so confused because I understand so little about what this project is. Is it like Legos? Like you just like make pieces and then you glue them together?
It's
So-
like Legos in software.
Yes. And then
And
once
then
you
you
put
can
the
put your
Legos,
things together to make your little building, and then you can print that little building.
print that building.
Okay. So like design the building in 3-dimensional like online program,
Yes.
and then whatever you design
But
using the little
You
digital
don't have to actually design the parts. They have all
They
the
have
parts, and
parts
you
that
just
you can
stick 'em
piece
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
You basically okay. So, like this is so I needed you to explain this to me like I was a toddler. So basically, you get a. So if you're a listener and you don't understand, I think I got this like on toddler level. You have a digital bin of Legos that you can build and then print if you have a 3D printer. Am I right? Did I get it right?
Exactly. There you
got
go.
it.
You did it.
And I will say, even if you don't have a 3D printer, lots of public libraries are starting to get 3D printers. That if you have the files, you can print them there for pretty cheap too.
That
so
is
it's
true.
another great option for custom minis.
That is very true. So when it comes down to my role, this is what I'm going to be giving the Town Builder subscription service. So out of the gate, I think this is really awesome for people who are trying to make and create their own environments, and it's a huge repository, right? So I think the role I'm going to give it out the gate is an 18. I think it's very solid, but there's room to grow, and I think I would want to try it. I'm not a huge fan of their pricing system. I think it's maybe a little expensive, but also it's very confusing in terms of how you actually understand the Kickstarter page and how this monthly subscription is laid out. So I'm going to give it an 18, but a -1 just for how they've kind of explained this, because I think it's a little confusing. I mean, here's the thing. There are going to be people who are just starting out with 3D printing, and maybe they're on the level like Joe, you've never done it before, but you've decided that you want to get into it, and you've bought a low-level 3D printer, but want to get into it. This does not allow people to really immediately understand that. And I think that's where I'm going to knock them down just by 1 point, but I think this is a really, really cool opportunity.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I
Beautiful.
would back this, and then I would just call Alex and make him explain it to me.
There we go. Or I'll print it, because I do have amazing resin 3D printers, and I print things
Oh.
like, castles.
So jealous. See him on TikTok. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'm so
it's
jealous.
pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
So good.
At this point, what we're going to do, we've gone through our first 3. We're gonna have a quick moment, a quick break, just for a little bit of a fun video for you guys, and we'll be back in about a minute. So we will talk to you guys soon.
The Wanderer's Guide is a 50-page compendium designed to enhance your fantasy RPG campaigns. Immersive, beautiful maps and artwork by Andrew Bosley. Dry erase pages for quick editing and changes as your campaign evolves. An abundance of tokens to add more character, landmarks, features, and customization to your campaign. An interactive NPC system for adding lots of variety and plot hooks for the Game Master to engage the players. Artwork featuring fun details and story elements to enhance collaborative storytelling, world building, and spark the imagination of the players and the Game Master. The Wanderer's Guide. Your world, your adventure.
All right, we're back, guys, and I hate to do this. I really hate to do this, but I'm about to talk about the best campaign of the night.
Baloney.
Well,
We'll see about that.
yeah, let's see. So the campaign that I want to talk about is Iron Kingdoms Requiem, 5th edition. Okay, what this is a completely new campaign setting for 5th edition that is set in the world of Iron Kingdoms, which is the lore and world and mythology that has been built by Privateer Press. Okay, so Privateer Press is if you look at their Kickstarter backing stuff, like you're like, oh, they haven't really done that much. But what they are a huge miniatures company. So they've dabbled a little bit in Kickstarter, and this campaign is doing fantastic. Almost 4,000 backers, over $350,000. So they're just crushing it. They're doing amazing, yeah. But this company is actually like a really big miniatures company that has this skirmish game called War Machine and Hordes. So if you've ever seen people at a game store playing these like giant Warhammer games with like these massive battles and stuff like that, these huge armies with like big terrain, this is what's called a skirmish game. So it's the same kind of system, but on a lower level. So you're only playing with like 10 to 15 models on the table at a time, okay? So it's a miniatures based game, but they've built this world in mythology around the Iron Kingdoms. And I want to talk a little bit about what the Iron Kingdoms is, okay? So what you're dealing with is you have this collection of kingdoms that has like survived this terrible apocalypse, right? And survived like massive wars in this like futuristic fantasy setting. So you have to think of like super far in the future, but still like D&D fantasy setting. That's kind of like what you're dealing with. Like there are steam power automatons, there is gunpowder, there is sorcery, there are mechanical armies, there is apocalyptic magic, there are dragons that rule over part of the world, there are train systems that are powered by things. There are huge it is just like everything that is mechanical and everything. I believe Alex is like scrolling through some of the art right now, and
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
It is so much amazing stuff that you have here. So I mean, you're dealing with like industrial revolution, like magic, sword and sorcery, gangs of New York, like all of these different like inferences in this world setting that you have. And it's all based on the 5th edition game system, which most people know and love. So if you know how to play 5th edition, all you need to do is build a character and you can run a game for your players in this setting. Now, here is kind of what really draws me in. First of all, I mean, this is a company that has been spending the better part of a decade or more building this mythology and this lore. This is not something that they just pulled out of their hat. I talked about some campaign settings last week where it was like this guy's passion. This is something that has had writers pouring their heart and soul and blood and sweat and tears into forever, building this like huge, massive thing. So they have the amazing artists, they have the amazing lore, they have the writing. So you know what's going to be presented is you're going to get some really good, high quality stuff that's as good, if not better, than Wizards of the Coast puts out. This is not going to be a cheap, like quick slapped on kind of thing. This is something that is very steeped in a world that has been built for the better part of a century by this company. And so if this is a campaign setting that's like of interest to you, right? And the reason it's of interest to me is I love playing what I consider typical fantasy, right? Like Faerun type of like Forgotten Realms. Like I love that type of setting. And now, Hannah, I know that you're a huge Eberron player, right?
I love Eberron.
You love that mixture of like a little new and a little old, right?
Yeah.
I think this feels like that Eberron setting, but dialed up to 11. Like this is
like if Warforged took over everything. Like not just certain little bits. Like, oh yeah, okay. You might win that one. That might be the best one. That's pretty good.
So I just have this like insane desire to run a game. I want to DM a game in this world for my players because I think it would be so much fun to play with things like trains and automatons and like all of the modern things because like
you wouldn't have to do travel. Oh, that would be amazing.
You could hop on a train and have a Murder on the Orient Express adventure because we have trains, right? Like,
yes.
As one of your players, Joe, this is if you want to do automatons, I beg of you. If this is within this universe, please allow us to all have like our own automaton, but it has to be like it chooses you, like Voltron story where like, oh yeah, the blue lion chose me. Like
yeah.
That would be like there's a bonding moment with our automatons. Like that's as your player, I'm formally requesting it.
I'm just super excited about all of the possibilities of running a game like this. I love my setting. I love the campaign setting that I'm running right now based on the Wanderer's Guide. I love, you're just, I don't want to call it generic fantasy, but I love that feeling, right? Like it's so comfortable and it's so familiar and it just feels like a cozy blanket. But this makes my mind race with how amazing this could be. So, let's talk about this. And again, the beautiful thing is you don't have to learn new rules for this. It's 5e. You know how to play. You don't need to teach a new system. It's like, hey, build a character and we're off to the races. Like everything is transferable from stuff that you already know and you're very familiar with. I'm just looking at the art. I'm just staring at it.
I keep just scrolling through back and forth, just going through every art piece. Just allow our viewers to just take a look at how absolutely insane all of these pieces are.
They're so cool.
I keep stopping on that dragon one because it first of all it covers the whole screen perfectly, but it's so cool. It's just oh man, it's the depth and
favorite is under the Monsternomicon, the giant crocodile monster.
Oh
frogs. Like that. That's the one that really makes me happy.
This guy
so
right here.
Let's talk a little bit about what you're going to get or what they're offering, right? What they're offering. They have basically 3 products that you can get here, okay? So you can get Requiem. Requiem is basically a book that is a combination of Player's Guide, so character classes, races, how to build your character, skills, feats, all of that type of stuff. And the other part of that book is the campaign setting, right? So all of the lore for the world that you're playing in. That's really all you need. But they're also offering you another book, which is the Monsternomicon, which is essentially the monster manual. It's all of the monsters that are in this world, over 80 monsters that they've created that are very specific to this world. Also, they have a third book, which is called Legend of the Witchfire, which is an adventure module to basically take levels from players from level 1 to level 4. So really good stuff. They're unlocking tons of stretch goals. One of the stretch goals that I'm most excited about is a map of the world. So if
Joe
you
has
back out,
maps.
you can get
maps.
you can get a giant map poster, which is, I mean, how would you play without that?
I have no idea. I couldn't do it personally. I mean,
So I don't want to talk about what the best value is here because there is a range, right? There is a range on what this product is getting you, okay? So I just want to run through a couple of the tiers so people know what's being asked of them. $25, you get the PDF of Requiem, which is really the main book that you need. $50, you get all the PDFs. So you get the PDFs of all 3 books, okay? So if you want to get in on this, but you don't really want to like dump a whole bunch of money, then that's where you want to go. For $50, you get the Requiem hardbound book. It's going to be nice. It's going to be high quality. You get lots of stretch goals with it already. So I think it's definitely worth it. A little bit cheaper than a WotC book, actually. And for $100, you get the all-in. You get all the books, everything. I went all in on this. I actually jumped on the early bird. As soon as I saw this, I jumped on it, got the free DM screen. So I will be running an adventure. I will be running an adventure.
Alex.
At some eventually when we decide to take a break from the world that I've created, the campaign that I'm running right now, this is something that I would be excited about exploring.
You just need a portal. You don't need to. You just need a portal.
Need a portal
In your world.
I have to give this a roll.
Really
And
quick.
Yeah.
I do have, but just not to hold up. I just have a quick question. They have a digital GM and then a paper player for $50. They have 2 separate things here. Why do they not just say $50 you get the book too? Have you noticed that?
I think, I think it's just like the physical property cost a little bit. I don't think that they want to give away all of the PDFs for that price. I mean, you do get the PDF version for $50 too. So
That's what I mean.
It's just kind of I don't know. I guess they just didn't feel like throwing in the other 2 PDFs for free, I guess, maybe.
Oh, all right. That's fair.
They just wanted to make you pay a little bit more, maybe.
That's fair.
Either way,
Give it a roll.
I labored over this roll. I did. I'm going to do something I didn't think I was going to do.
Is he going to do it?
I'm giving this a straight up nat 20.
Ding, 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 ding,
yeah, right? Fireworks.
I know that is like, okay, but I looked for flaws. I looked so hard for flaws. And I looked like...
the art's too good.
The
Map.
artwork...
There's not enough maps. Just one poster? No.
They had a map, so the other thing that I looked at, I was like, am I going to get what I'm expecting to get? I mean, this, I know I'm getting it. They have built enough stuff into this. You watch the video, you read the page. I know exactly what I'm getting. That's the other reason I've dinged other projects that I've rolled high with, is because I'm like, you're not telling me enough. Your page, but like, I know everything. This page is very well laid out. The artwork is fantastic. You know what you're getting. I think the price is very reasonable and fair. And I'm super excited about the campaign setting. I think it's a really cool product. So this is, for the first time that I have given one, I don't expect to give another one for a while, but this has rolled a nat 20 for me. I am super excited about getting this.
Ding, nat 20.
That's awesome.
It is
well done.
It's a good find. It's an absolutely
good
find. So I'm
solid.
really sorry that you have to follow that up, Hannah. I'm really sorry.
Well, luckily, I just did a little short one that I was excited to find. So my next one is Hexplorer, and it's magnetic dungeon tiles. So it's not an RPG that I have to follow that up with. So this is, okay, admission time here. I am horrible at creating dungeons. I have tried to use the little grid paper. I have tried to use like Incarnate. I have tried so many things, and I'm just terrible at making dungeons. I end up either Googling them, or I have friends who have Patreons that I just pay for them, because I'm just terrible at it. But on the spot, like on the fly, you roll random on a chart, and it says that they stumble across a cavern system or a dungeon or something, and they want to explore it. I'm horrible at figuring out how to do something other than a straight line. So that's kind of why I really, really like this project. So this is going to be magnetic tiles that just fit on like a whiteboard is what they're designed to go on. And there's sections of dungeons that you can just put on there however you want to make a little dungeon. So this has also been a Kickstarter before. This project was created by Headless Hydra Press, which I absolutely love that name. I think it's amazing. And they've done successful Hexplorer Kickstarter in the past, and this is kind of an extension on that. They've upgraded some things, they've made some changes, and so they've launched again, and they are fully funded. They just launched, and they are fully funded with 30 days to go. So I'd say the stretch goals will probably be unlocked for this one as well. So this is a pretty safe bet. So what this is this is a magnetic dungeon builder that you can place on a whiteboard. Now, if you don't use a whiteboard as a DM, I don't know what you're doing with your life, because I have 3 of them on the wall right beside my DM table. One of them is for me, and the other 2 are for players to outline their insane plans to one another and like business salesman pitch. Let's actually kill this guy instead of, let him live. So I have tons of whiteboards. I love whiteboards. And these are amazing because you can just grab them and you can just put them on there. They're already 1-inch grid tiles. They have hex. If you play a game that uses hex tiles instead, they have hex tiles. They are dry erase compatible, which is amazing. So if you want to write, what direction you're going, you want to put in where enemies are, anything like that, you can totally do that. They also are they're flat, so they're not like terrain pieces, they're just little tiles, so you can literally put them in one of those the zipper pouches. Anybody else had like the pencil case in middle school? That's what I'm thinking of for my DM binder, right? Just stick them all in there, stick them in your DM binder, and you don't have to have tons of totes laying around the house for all of your terrain. You're probably experiencing this now, Alex. The more you print, the more you have to store, right?
Yeah, that's a thing.
And you run out of room eventually, and you don't want to dig through and find your terrain pieces for some random thing. You just want to throw something up. Or you just want to throw it in a bag and pull out a handful of pieces and go, random dungeon. There we go. Love it, right? So you can get so I don't understand this. You can get digital PNGs of the pieces on here as the first tier. And I don't understand that.
I think that's if you play exclusively on like Roll20 Online, then you can get all of these things to build dungeons on a program
can you
like that.
Move the little PNGs and line them up?
You can rotate
I haven't played on there.
Yeah.
Nice. So there you go. So if you do that, you can totally do that. Doesn't make sense for me because I don't do that. So the first tier where you actually get the physical tiles is at the $20.
Yeah, you could also print them out yourself. For example, let's say if you had like a Cricut and you had like just those peel off square magnets, you can get on like Amazon.
That's true.
You could just do a print on like maybe a stickable vinyl, and you could just stick them on some magnets.
Dude, if you are craftier than I am, absolutely. Maybe that would save you some money then if you get those PNGs. So that would make a lot of sense. I would get the first tier.
I'm way too lazy for that.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, no, just ship them to me. If I'm too lazy to draw out a dungeon, you think I'm going to print out these pieces and make my own tile pieces?
I'm going to be honest, looking at some of these next prices you're about to talk about, I feel like it's more worth it to just buy them.
Yeah,
because look, at $20, here's what you get. You get that starter set where you get like 3 times the 3x3s, you get 2 times the 6x4s, you get 1 room that's the big room, you get all these corridors, you get these turn sections, stone doors, all that stuff, right? You get the basic, you get enough to make any kind of little dungeon that you want to make for that, 100%. But my favorite tier is actually, I'm going to skip all the way up to the $74 tier.
Wow.
Because this, I know it's kind of expensive, but you get everything. You get the Mega Dungeon Pack, which look at the Mega Dungeon Pack. Good Lord. You get like 100 magnetic tiles with that sucker. You get that plus, but wait, there's more. Because you get the large dungeon dressing pack. Because not only do you have the actual dungeon tiles, you have objects that you can put on top of those tiles because they're all magnetic. So you can stack them on there. So you can make actual rooms. You can make treasures. You can even make taverns if you wanted to. So you can create a house. They go into a house. You can throw it up there real quick, right? You got pit traps. You got rugs. You got thrones. You got all sorts of stuff you can put in there. Another 167 tiles. We're at 267 tiles. so far. Okay? Yeah. But wait, there's more. Because you get... Yeah, I know, right? Because I need one of those voice changers that you have.
I haven't used it yet. I'll have to implement it.
I can't believe you didn't use it for the Nat 20.
I should next time.
So you also get 2 of all of the rewards that are released. So like bed rolls, what's another one? Caves and tunnels. You would get 2 of those, and any of the other reward systems as they come. You get 2 of those. And I'm not the only one who would pick this level. A lot of other people agree with me because of the 65 backers that they have so far.
Wow.
28 of them actually chose this level. Like it's a good value for this amount of stuff, and you don't have to buy another set again. I mean, that's pretty much all you need.
Yeah. Wow.
Super useful. Yeah, super useful. Solid project. On my roll, it gets a 14 on the dice with a +1 for efficiency of that easy storage. I'm going to give it a 15. Solid little project.
Yeah. The only thing is, man, I just wish, maybe it's for ease, but I just wish all the tiles were not so one note. Like on all of the pictures, they all do look very much the same, but maybe that gives them room in the future to make like different types of tiles.
Well, it also allows you to not overlap with your objects. So if you're putting objects in a room, you do want it to be kind of blank so you're not overlapping a bunch of stuff. And they are in the future, and like I said, this project just keeps expanding. I'm pretty sure they're looking at doing taverns, so like wood flooring, villages, cavern systems, things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very
really
cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take us a little bit further into maybe some of the accessories for your campaign, and even outside of what you play with, and more of what you drink at the table. So, may I present, and I love this name, DNT. Thematic Teas for your RPG. Oh, come on.
Clever girl.
Okay, sweet. Okay, just really quick, before I even go into this, it should be DNT, Thematic Teas for your RPGs. You gotta have the S on there. Come on.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
But I've been really kind of loving how people are coming up with ways to integrate kind of the real life into their campaigns. And last week I covered a cocktail book. And I've been following a lot of different TikTok accounts where there's specifically one called Quincy's Tavern. And he does this whole thing. Love Quincy's Tavern.
Yes.
He'll make drinks and do all this stuff. So specifically, this is all about thematic teas that they've put together. They have already gone past their goal of $2,000, and they've raised $4,421. This is their first ever Kickstarter that they've done, and I absolutely just love the graphics. I think they're super nice, super clean. But if you read the story about how they've decided to go to this Kickstarter, it's actually really nice, and I really kind of love it. So I just kind of want to read a little bit of this. We never anticipated our teas to be something we produced and sold online. We created our teas as a way for us to have an excuse to go to PAX South. The demand was overwhelming. We brought it back again to C2E2. And if you haven't been to C2E2, that's where I am in Chicago. And we've never done large-scale production. They actually sold their teas in little paper bags. And that was it. And they began just getting so many fans all around that they decided to release this Kickstarter. And they have these absolutely really nice bags of teas that have these really cool map graphics, Joe. They have backgrounds with maps.
One.
So
one.
There you go. There's a +1 for you. But like just going over some of these flavors, they have like Tavern Brawl black tea, a crowd favorite with chocolate and roasted coconut, aroma that transports you to a quaint fancy pub. So they have all these descriptions on there. Underdark and chill black tea, take on Earl Grey lavender and bergamot is rich and fragrant. Palace elixir green tea, forest frolic, Feywild dreams. I just absolutely love.
So fun.
Stop right here because I love Feywild dreams because its description says is chaotic evil at its finest.
That's adorable.
I just love it.
Oh my gosh.
I think this is just so nice. It's just something that's like You're getting
This
ready
would
for your
be
campaign.
the perfect gift for any player. Like
Right?
getting them a tea for their character. Oh my gosh.
Go to Etsy and get like a custom tea mug, or just something that like
Yes.
matches really well, a whole gift pack. I think this is just something that I really love to see, and I'm really glad to see that it's starting off. It's already past their goal. And looking at this, I mean, here's the thing: for $28, you get 2 4-ounce bags. I would choose 2 bags and then probably come back for more. I feel like $15 for 1 4-ounce bag. You'd think it might be a little expensive, but that's tea. If you ever bought
Yeah.
like really nice tea, you're not getting like the stuff you're getting in Target. You're getting something that's very specifically made, that's
and
unique.
blended and all loose leaf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's
Mhm.
not just like, here, sleepy time.
And how
Sleep-
long?
sleepy time.
How long does like how? I'm not sure how many pots of tea 4 ounces would brew. My wife is a huge tea drinker. Actually, I'm probably going to end up backing this just to surprise her. But
Aw.
I'm not sure how far 4 ounces of tea goes. But I'm sure it's at least several brews.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say a couple. But what's actually really funny
2
that I'm just
teaspoons?
noticing, some of these labels, I wonder if they show the other side, because I'm scrolling through really quickly just to get a double check on here. But at the very top, you can actually see for Underdark and Chill, under the title it says +1 to acrobatics.
Ooh.
And this is like an idea, and I think, Joe, you had mentioned this idea, maybe integrating them into their characters.
Well, so
I like a potion.
all 3 of us really liked this campaign. We all felt it was really cool and unique, and so we drew straws a bit to see who's going to cover it. But I felt that the biggest thing that this was missing is I just wish they would have included just a little card, right, that had like a picture of the tea, because I love like those beautiful drawings that sometimes you'll see for like just like drinks that people will make in D&D or stuff like that. But like just on the back, just have like a like the tea that you can have in your campaign, and you can just kind of like put it in as like a specialty at like a tea house that your players
Yeah.
wind up in, or at a tavern, and just give it some kind of ability, right? Give it some kind of like reason to exist in D&D. Make it more than just, oh, we named it something D&D. Give us just go one step further, right? Go one step further to making this more thematic and fun to back.
So I can definitely agree, and I think they've started to. I think they've hinted on that, whether they've meant to or not. Like especially with like the +1 to acrobatics on this label. I think as soon as you get this, I mean, as soon as I grab it, you thought the same thing, where it's like, all right, well then if I'm drinking this in my campaign, what if as a DM, right? As a DM, you sit down to the table, or you have a new crew and maybe they're all new starting, right? You send out little gift boxes for everyone, as like you're that kind of DM. You're like, everyone, this is gonna be fun. You like send them a miniature, send them a little gift package of these. Now it'd be super cool to say, is anyone having their tea to increase maybe a stat for this round? And then you allow, as the DM, that whatever tea the person drank, that it allows them to have that plus stat for their character for the session. I think that'd be super fun, and I think this is something that maybe they should look into in terms of maybe other campaigns, or maybe as a marketing opportunity, because I think that'd be super fun. And I think there's a lot of opportunity when you definitely dig deep into that. So here's my roll here. I gave it a 16 for my roll, because it is tea. Not everyone loves tea, but I'm giving it a 16 because I personally think it's really, really awesome. And I love it. And I think they could do more. So 16 with room to grow, but a +1 for that opportunity for growth. I'm giving it a 17 overall with that +1 with room for growth, because I think this is going to start to become more of a thing, and you're going to see these guys. I think they've struck a little bit of gold, and they don't really realize it yet.
Yeah.
That's
I hope that they continue to build on that, and that they make those whole little sets, you know, the rogue set or the druid set, along with little teacups, kettles, anything like that. I think would be awesome. I'd love to see that in the future.
Exactly. So right now we are actually going to take a little bit of a break to hear from one of our hosts.
Who
Talk to you
could
guys
it
in a sec.
Hello.
Humanoids, I'm Halfling Hannah, the creator behind Halfling Hobbies. And here at Halfling Hobbies, you are going to find DM resources and only DM resources. We are here for dungeon masters, creating all sorts of things from puzzle templates and downloadable puzzles to DM binder pages, NPCs, loot cards, everything that you could possibly need to help give your game advantage. All of it comes with a healthy serving of food and drink, along with that special halfling hospitality. So grab a mug of ale and a slice of cake, sit back, relax, and dig in to Halfling Hobbies.
Well, we're back, and we're going to talk about some interesting projects here for a little bit. But I cannot wait to introduce you guys to something that I really hope you go check out, called The Knights of the Road, a tiny role-playing game of high-flying adventure in a monster-infested 1920s.
Oh my god.
This is put out by a creator called Border Charlie. This is his first project, but it is... Okay, let me explain what the product is, and then I'll kind of explain what the concept is. This is 3 16-page books that are essentially the size of a playing card. In fact, it even has a picture of the prototypes that he's built, and they are like, they have a quarter there for scale.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like these are itty bitty teeny tiny little books, right? To make an itty bitty teeny tiny little role-playing game. And this is the type of role-playing game that you don't play for your whole life, right? This is not a 3-year campaign. This is play on a road trip or in your mind, like with your friends, or when you just want to like have a wacky offbeat adventure. But now I'm going to try to explain to you what this concept is. You are all a group of hobos in the 1920s that
tiny books.
that are hitching, like with your little bindles, hitching a ride on these trains, and wherever you end up stopping, there's like a monster of the week adventure for you to have.
Oh
So
my god.
this is like a mixture of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou with this is like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou Supernatural. That's what this is.
Oh my god.
So you're basically traveling from town to town in the 1920s, like fighting werewolves or a vampire or a mummy. And it just kind of like gives you this like vibe of like, we're just having silly fun. I just want to put you into like wacky hijinks. There's like this Scooby-Doo element to it. There's this really evocative, strange artwork that's put out there. And it's just something that I feel like it's so rules light. It's based on this RPG called Odd by Christopher McDowell. And this is kind of in the RPG world, they call this like a hack of, right? This is like a hack of that RPG system, which kind of basically means like it's a riff on it. So this has a very light rule system. It's basically you just need a couple D6s to play it, and you just kind of like have fun being like, what kind of trouble is our hobo group going to get into? So one is like the player's guide and the rules. The other book is like the monster. It's called The Monsters of the Rails. So it's kind of like your monster manual, and kind of teaches you like how to play the monsters or what kind of like stuff that you should add there. And I love this one. The third book is called Conducting the Train, and it's just tips and tricks for how to DM this, right? Because I know that you're thinking you're thinking to yourself like, okay, you almost have me, but how do I run this game? So the third book is just this.
Not what I was thinking.
This third book of like is little tips and tricks of like, hey, this is some advice on how to run a game like this. But I just love the idea of just like getting your D&D group together, and they all come in, and you're like, hey, we're not playing D&D tonight. We're gonna play this, and you give everyone a D6. You teach them the rules in like less than 10 minutes, and then it's like, all right, guys, we're all hobos. Let's go.
Well,
and
my players are close to that anyway. They're murder hobos, so it they're almost there.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love the time period in the setting
I
and
just
just
have a
like
question. I have a
yes.
question. So in Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games, like your players are always the epic ones in the world, right? So they're the ones blessed by the gods. They're the ones that have innate magical abilities. How in this world are hobos equipped to fight werewolves and monsters? Does it just
I think
happen? Is there
yeah,
any
I
lore to
mean,
that at all?
You don't know
no,
their
I just
story.
think
No,
that
You never know.
it
like
just happens.
you just like it's just kind of like you're always in the wrong place at the wrong time kind of a
So it's
situation.
almost
Yeah.
semi-survival-ish.
Yeah, like I think that
Okay.
that's more of the concept, but I think it's just like real funny to put on your 1920s
my
newscaster transatlantic accents and all get together and start playing a game in the 1920s. I just think
Like
that like
we're radio broadcasters.
yes, exactly, like that
Ugh.
that transatlantic conversation that you get to have where all of your tones are very high. I think like
We see our intrepid hobo explorers.
Everything's super nice.
Okay,
Like-
I'm in. I'll play.
okay. So join us next week where we all play.
Knights of the Road.
Nice
Oh
of
man!
the road.
Oh my gosh!
So
we
much
should
mid-range.
we should think about doing like one-shot adventures of these like wacky mini RPG things. That
That'd be
might
Yeah.
be something that
That-
we
I
we
would do that. That would be
All right.
hilarious. That would be hilarious.
So,
What are you rolling it, Joe?
well, I need to talk about the value
Oh yeah,
because
wow.
the value is amazing. $5. That's it. That's it.
A little pocketbook.
You can
Wow.
you
That
can own this. You can own this for $5. Why would you
yeah, you
not?
could.
Because
It's a coffee.
why not? And here's the thing, I am gonna give this a 14.
No.
It's not crazy high. I know it's niche. I know it's weird, but I'm giving it a +1 for just being so weird that I am intrigued by it. And I am
Alright.
usually the guy that I'm focused on the big D&D supplements, the DMs guides, the stuff like that.
The
Cool
maps.
campaign settings like maps, that's the kind of stuff that I review. But there was something that when I looked at this campaign, I just kind of like sat there and I said, "This is so nuts that I just kind of love it." Like I
that.
read through probably 30 campaign pages, trying to pick out what I was going to review for my third one, and I had so many that I was like, this one, and there were some good ones. But then I got to this one, I was like, playing 1920s hobos fighting werewolves. Like I'm just like, I'm there, man. I'm
Sure.
there.
You got me.
Let's do it.
Oh, you know what? If I
You-
ran this as the DM, I would run mythologies of the U.S. I would run the Jersey Devil. I would run Bigfoot.
Ooh.
So because you're crossing the country,
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
Depending on which train they get on, where they go.
I'm backing this, and I'm doing
my
like
God.
I'm doing
Alright.
all yeah.
Alex,
they're
he's gonna make us play this. You realize that,
They're-
right?
God.
they're gonna
Do a
get
Slender
knocked
Man
out. They're gonna end up
Ooh.
in Mexico, and they're gonna
Mothman.
fight the Chupacabra.
Do
Nice.
Mothman.
Mothman.
Mothman
Yes.
and
So-
Slenderman.
Garth.
All right, so it gets a 15, 14 +1 for weirdness. That is Knights of the Road. Check it out, guys. Check it out. Give the guy $5. This is the
Give
definition.
the man. He's a
Yeah.
hobo.
Give
Give
the
the
man
man
a fiver.
$5.
You know,
This
give
is
him a
the
fiver.
definition of a passion project. Go check it out, please. Border Charlie.
Oh, Alex, it's a first. I'm not the weirdest one.
That's yeah.
I'm
Wow.
not, because I thought this
happened.
one was gonna be the weirdest one, but it's definitely not
This is-
now. So thank you, Joe.
You did it.
You did it. You did it, buddy. All right. So my last one is this my last one? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Going quick. My last one tonight is Backwater. This is a Southern Gothic RPG, which is fun. And surprise, surprise, it's a little indie post-apocalyptic RPG. I very much enjoy those. And this has a very unique flavor of being set in the southern bayou of the United States. So you're looking Louisiana, Mississippi, very southern Arkansas area. And this is after the apocalypse, which doesn't really tell you what that is. Maybe the book will. But after the apocalypse, humanity is trying to rebuild. And as they are rebuilding, your players are going to be wardens who travel around this region named Backwater, fighting monsters, helping communities rebuild, and making sure that they don't tear themselves apart from the inside out. And this has some really fun and interesting lore from the actual southern United States in the Bayou, because we were just talking about that, with the different things there. So this is the first project of Backwater Games. They are brand new on there, and I'm guessing if this goes well, we're going to see a lot more from Backwater Games as far as this RPG is concerned. Probably more monster manuals, classes, maps, things like that. But this is the main core of the game and one of the first adventures of the game. So this looks to be a pretty classic post-apocalyptic survival RPG. But it also has some social complications. So that Southern Gothic style that they claim to be, if they do hold up on that, you're going to see social structures, you're going to see old families and the conflicts in those old families and old traditions, and how the new society should be fighting against those old traditions. So there should be some unique social complications in there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Did they mention anything on the page as far as like voodoo and magic is concerned? I'm just curious because I know that that's a big influence in this kind of culture.
Right. So you have the monsters from voodoo, so like zombies, vampires, things like that. You have that influence there. They don't specifically mention it, but some of the monsters, what I really love is that those monsters, they've actually made them into like mutations. Yeah. And so they've taken those monsters from Bayou lore, like the Cayman, which are weregators, or the Loop-Garou. I always have a hard time saying that. Yeah. Them
weregators back there.
We were talking like 1920s salesman before, and now you're gonna be slipping into that old Southern accent. We're gonna take it all the way down to the south. It's like molasses, honey. We got conjurers and we got witches, so it does have a little bit of that magic down in there. You got undead.
Hannah, I think there needs to be a rule that every session of this RPG needs to start with, "There's been a murder."
There's been a murder. And you are a suspect.
Oh. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that. You've also got sulks. You've got doppelgangers, which are called Entrange. You've got haunts, swamp fiends, and whispers. All are part of this monster manual in here. And it's an original system, doesn't look hard to pick up. You've got mostly a D20. You've only got 4 classes that you can kind of mishmash together to create different things. And so it's their own original little unique system, but it doesn't look too hard to pick up and know. And so it's a really interesting setting with some really fun monsters and social things to it. And I thought it looked neat.
Cool stuff. So what are you going to roll it?
Well, so here's the thing. And maybe you guys can answer this for me. I haven't seen this before for an RPG book, but this is actually a subscription-based RPG book. So this is, you pay for the year to get access to the book. And you can't have a physical copy of the rules book unless you pay $80. The $80, the $80 level is where you're at. But at $10, you can get it for a year. And even at that $80 level, you don't get a physical copy of the adventure. You only get a physical copy of the rules book. And I hadn't seen that before. What do you guys think of that system?
I'm not a fan.
It seemed iffy to me too.
Yeah. Why? That's what I would ask. Why? Why do things so differently than what the community is used to? Why? I feel like you're asking something extra, or you're giving people a reason to say no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or something.
I mean, it was a no from me because of that. Because I'm like, if I'm paying for the book, I want the book. Like, I want to be able to download it, keep it. I want a physical copy of it. Like, I just do. And I don't, because here's what happens. Sometimes you get a game, right? And you enjoy playing it, but you don't have a group who wants to play it for a few years. And then you find it and you go, oh, I love this game. I'm going to get a group together.
Pick that up, yeah.
and you pick it up and you play it. If it's subscription based and only online, I'm not gonna do that. I might pay for the 1 year, but then I'll forget all about it, and I probably won't ever pick it up again.
It's kind of a weird thing because, like, $80 is a big ask to take a risk on such a off
And they're
the
brand new, yeah.
I almost picked this one, Hannah, and I want to tell you why I didn't. Because I felt as I read through the page, I was like, and I mean, maybe this is stupid, but I just thought to myself, why didn't you just make this 5e compatible?
Yeah.
That was
absolutely.
Why not? Why not?
Why does it have to be its own system? And why do we have to go weird? Yeah.
This 5e compatible, and I would have been all over it. I probably would have been one of my first picks because I love the theme. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
It's like this doesn't seem like it deserves its own system. It doesn't seem broad enough.
Yeah, and they're definitely trying to make it their own system. You can tell with the way that they're doing things, but I think it's just kind of off the way. I don't know how many people are going to like that. The only way I'd be okay with the subscribe basis is if you were constantly giving me new content for that subscription. If I pay every year to be a part of this, then I want the adventures for free. When you come out with new adventures, my subscription allows me access to those adventures too. And constantly giving me more value for that, I would be okay with that. But just access to your rules, you're asking me to pay every year for that?
I think you're setting yourself up for not the best of situations by going for both your own system and you're new on the block, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's a not 5e compatible one, and then you have a subscription. So it's like I would say either decide it's a subscription and make it 5e compatible, or make it not a 5e compatible and not have a subscription.
Yeah.
Like do one or the other.
It's got too much working against it, but it's such a cool concept.
But it's such a cool idea, and that's the thing that I hate.
You just want to play a game where you can go, there's been a murder.
There's been a murder. Oh, Lord.
Cool. Great.
I just don't know.
Just right back. I'll be right back.
Yeah, so and that plays into my role here, because here's my role. It's a 13. It's a solid concept. It's a solid setting, and I really like it. But I don't like the tiers, I don't like the subscription, and I don't like that it's brand new system. So it's getting just a -1. I might even make it a -2, but I'm feeling generous, so I'm gonna give it a -1 and give it a 12.
All right.
But it's so interesting that please go check it out.
Intriguing. Yes.
This is really interesting to you. Please go check it out. And again, try. I just want all of the people that are listening to remember that, like, we're not on this to bash these Kickstarter campaigns. We're here to show the cool stuff that you might be missing, right?
Yeah.
So we're hoping that you might be listening to us and you might say, you know what, that sounds cool enough to go give it $10 and try for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a low starting point. So if you wanted to try it out for a year, absolutely. It's a great starting point for that, for sure.
The main goal here at Roll for Review is to give you the good and show you and give you an honest review on what we think. And we're going to give you what we think is good, what we think might hinder the Kickstarter campaign, what we think might be a missed opportunity. And that's just us being honest and transparent about these campaigns. But that does in no way mean that we think they are bad campaigns. I think there's always going to be things you can do better, always things that are going to be perfect. Some things are not. It's a balancing act. And here at Roll for Review, we're going to give you our honest reviews and give you the most information we possibly can. So I'm going to go ahead and move us to my very last Roll for Review here, and I am the resident dice goblin. I love dice. As a designer, I love seeing what people do. They have such an opportunity, and I'm always looking at these crazy, elaborate dice with metal and different glitters and all that, and this time I decided to go to the complete opposite side of the spectrum with sea glass dice. Now, when I looked at these, I just thought, oh my God, are these beautiful. They're just so clean, so pretty. And they're by Dice Dungeons, who have 5 Kickstarter campaigns already. But they're so clean, and the way they're done with this sea glass finish, they almost glow. And looking at these, they're so unique, and I look at them and I can feel the texture without even touching them. And I always want to show really cool dice on Roll for Review, because you never know. There's always little accessories that can enhance your gameplay, and you know, there's always that set of dice you never know when you're on the lookout for a new set of dice, because the one is going to be locked up forever because it's betrayed you one too many times with a horrible nat 1. So I always like to take a look at these, and I just want to show these off. The Seafoam Lagoon, Forgotten Abyss. They're so
pretty.
They're so pretty, and they're so not what you'd expect on a Kickstarter dice campaign. They're minimal. My favorite personally is the Arctic Pearl. I really love the clean, clear and gold. I'm a purist, so I really, really like those. Now, just to let you guys know, I mean, they smashed their goal of $3,000 and have made $56,000.
Oh my word.
So they are killing it. They funded in 15 minutes. So there's that.
People love their dice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can get 2 D20s for $20. So they have this split up by kind of sets. You can get the full set for $65. It's definitely a little bit on the higher end, but I think, again, you're getting something that you really don't see that much in terms of in terms of dice on Kickstarter. And really, a lot of the time people go extravagant and you never really see the minimal. So I'm a big fan of these. Personally, I'd kind of get 2 D20s and maybe use them as like you have like one set of dice and take out the D20 and make it the sea glass and maybe make it my unique die or like my unique situation. Since you're using D20s most of the time anyway, I think that might be a good deal to get 2 D20s for $20. Personally, for me, I think that's where I would go. I don't see myself getting the whole set, but I think 2 D20s is great. And if you look at the pledge levels, 114 people actually did do that, and only 74 actually got the full set. So I think everyone's on the same page there. For my roll for these dice, I'm going to go ahead and give them, let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and just give them a flat 16. I think they're nice. I think they're not everyone's cup of tea. I think they're really pretty, and I took off some points because cup of tea.
Yeah.
But I also think you're only gonna end up getting the D20s, so I knocked off a couple of points. You had something in your mind. What's?
They need to do a D20 in each one of the tea bags. They need to do a D20 that is for that, a theme D20 in there in the tea bag. Call me. D&Ts, you and I.
D&Ts.
We got this.
Well, so that has been our portion of reviews. Now we are getting to kind of the back half of our show where we really talk about just our fun finds, things that we've scoured the internet for, and kind of just not even scoured the internet, really things that just kind of popped up as we were doing our usual scouring. Things that maybe we're just hanging out on Facebook scrolling one day and we went, ooh, I like this. These are really cool. So let's jump back to Joe. Tell us all about your fun find.
I
forgot, so this is like Christmas.
Put a coin here in old Ricky's hands, and Ricky will take it where you needs to go, okay? So I'm going to tell you about my fun find. My fun find I found over on the DMs Guild. Great place if you're looking to pick up some stuff for real cheap. I'm telling you what, they got deals you couldn't believe over on the DMs Guild. I found a project called Puzzle Master. Puzzle Master seems to be a really good project. Only $5.95. That's less than $6. That's pretty good money if you're asking old Ricky and myself. I'm telling you what, Mrs. Elf Lady. That's my
Is Ricky Polly's brother?
Yeah. My campaign just the party that's in my campaign is just got to the capital city, and so I created this gaggle of like urchin children that kind of like can help them navigate and take them to people and stuff like that. They just kind of like, they just kind of like hang out at the gate, and if you pay them a little bit of money, they'll be like, oh, I know. They're like, oh, I know where you need to go. Let me take you there. Just put a couple coins in my hand right here. but I just gave them like these like really thick, like I was just thinking of like these like newsies, right? These like
Oh
newsies
yeah.
children. And so like I just gave them these like super thick Brooklyn accent, and then like
I
I
love
like
it.
leaned into it. So my group actually had like a whole thing where they like hired the entire
hired
group
all
to
of
like set up a trap to like follow this guy around town. And so they coordinate everything. And so I like gave them all, it's like, all right, Ricky and Paulie and Fatso and like
when he was calling them all in, when he was calling them in, I was just in the background like, now is the time to seize the day.
and Tony Jr. and Tony the
You
Third.
gotta have Tony.
Seize the day.
You got to.
So Joe, what was your fun find? I got distracted.
Yeah, I did not hear it at all.
I know you guys were not expecting it, but I promised it. So
I
there's
forgot.
my terrible Brooklyn accent that I throw into my D&D campaigns. We've done a lot of accents, so
I love it.
you're good. This is great. DM's Guild, I found a product over there called Puzzle Master. It's only $6. Here's what I like about it. It has 10 unique puzzles that you can use in any adventure. It has 20 puzzles that you can print out as handouts. So you can print these out and give them to your players if you're playing in person to physically solve the puzzles, which I love because
Yeah.
it has like a really cool physical element to it. Lots of really interesting, unique puzzles and stuff like that. I have such a hard time coming up with fun, interesting puzzles. But here's also what I love is they also thematically set this up. If you wanted to combine all of these puzzles into one dungeon, they basically walk you through how one puzzle would lead to the other,
Cool.
and so your D&D party could basically find themselves in an escape room type situation for a session, which would be great if they were breaking
It
into
would
a
never
weird
get out.
tower. Yeah, or whatever. Like I really love it. I love trying to come up with like really fun puzzles or like really fun things that are not just you're in a room and you're fighting. I always try to think of something that's a little bit more interesting than that. And so this is something that I really would like to just have as a resource of like, oh, I want to throw a puzzle into my dungeon. Let me break out Puzzle Master and let me leaf through it and see like, are there any puzzles? Oh, this one looks really cool.
Perfect.
And just give it to my players. Yeah. So
Nice.
Puzzle Master, $6. It's something that you can throw in your folder on your desktop and just have as part of your resources. You can, and I love the idea that if you do play in person, you can print out the puzzles and actually physically give them to your players to solve, which is just such a cool concept. So that's my fun find.
Nice.
It's Puzzle Master, and for only $6, you can't beat the price.
Oh Lord. Thank
love
you. Thank you, Ricky. All right, so my fun find is D&D cookie colors. Cause everybody likes cookies and we like D&D. So we've got a tentacle, we've got a D20, we've got a mimic, we've got a dragon, and we've got a beholder cookies. And if you're awesome at the icing, then you can make them look even more amazing. Or you can just eat them.
You do like royal
as-
icing.
Yeah, the royal icing stuff. Yeah, they got an example of that. There's no way that I would ever get
Oh wow.
there. But
Pure
yeah, isn't that cool?
That is
That's
really
pretty cool.
I love this.
I love watching videos on like Instagram. They're just mesmerizing of how they do the icing and stuff. So
Yeah.
maybe someday I'll try this out as like a little Halfling Hobbies video of me actually trying to make these the way that they did. But that's my fun find. I thought they were adorable and delicious. So there you go.
Love it.
I don't know. Maybe they could have made some D&D cannoli.
Aw.
Cannoli, that.
No, a good cannoli.
All right, so for mine, I have found on Etsy these D&D miniature condition rings. Now, we actually make kind of a lot of these on Roll20, or we actually kind of just draw them for when there's conditions or if there's like a moonbeam or something. And Joe, I feel like we kind of have sometimes a hard time remembering if we are under concentration or not. And knowing when we all get back into, playing in person, and if you are already, I love these. I really think that, you put these around your miniature indicating whether or not, you're in concentration or you're cursed or any of these statuses that might be inflicting your character. And I think they're fun, and you can get this whole box of 96 markers for 24 different status and spell effects for $41. I think that's a lot of rings, and it's a lot of fun, and it just adds another level of just allowing people to just enjoy the fun and not have to always remember these little details. Anything, in my opinion, that allows the player to not have to always just remember things like that, because it's hard when you're playing and you're trying to focus on how to play, but then you're like, oh wait, I forgot, I'm cursed, can we do that again? So
was my Hexblade Curse on that one?
Exactly.
Or my Hunter's Mark, was it on that one? Yeah, and those look way nicer than my little pipe cleaners that I use.
So yeah, I wanted to highlight these for our fun finds. Now,
good.
That is actually the end of our show today for Roll for Review. We want to thank all of you for stopping by. Thank you, Bridgelord, again for your follow. Just keep in mind, we stream every other week, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Thank you so much. We will be uploading this. This will stay up on our Twitch channel for 14 days, and we will be uploading this to our YouTube channel. So thank you all very much. This has been Roll for Review.
Don't forget, we're going to have a special episode next week.
Oh, yeah. We are going to be having a special episode next week. Joe, do you want to mention something about that really quickly?
Yeah, so February is a really special month because Kickstarter runs what it calls Zine Quest, which is, hey, come up with an A5 paper booklet and throw it up on Kickstarter for very little money and, come up with a really cool concept. And it is only 2 days into February, and we have already seen 80 projects launch. So we are going to try to run through 30 really cool projects next week. We're going to do lightning round zines, and we're just going to vote on them. We're not going to go through a big roll. It's going to be 2-minute reviews of 30 different zines. So if you've logged on to Kickstarter and you are just overwhelmed with the stuff, with the zines that are being crashed into waves against the shores of your wallet, we're going to try to help you come up. You can get some really quick reviews and advice from us next week on Tuesday. We're going to just really quick hit through those different zines and show you what we think are some of the coolest ones that we've seen. And I promise we will look at all of the different zines that have come out and choose the ones from there. So we're really excited about what that's going to be. So we'll have a special week, but then again, we will be meeting the first Tuesday after the 15th to talk about Kickstarter projects that are not zines that have launched in the first half of February. And there have been a lot of really cool ones already as well.
Yep, absolutely. So thank you all so much. This has been Roll for Review. Have a wonderful night.
Hey, come back and see us next week.
Good night, everybody.
Night.